Welcome to the podcast of the impossible. I'm Peter Wood, and my guest today is a jack of all trades and master of most of them. It's my brother, Matt Wood. All righty, welcome to the basement.
I'm Brother Matt.
I'm excited to be doing this. Actually, I've talked with some folks who have said that they're looking forward to. Are you going to do one with Brother Matt? Yeah. And so I'm glad we got a chance to make this happen.
Big shout out to Willard for defending my honor on a previous episode.
Okay,
talking
good.
About stage time together.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is the man that I've shared the stage the most with, and he was like, yeah. Oh wait, what about Brother Matt?
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, maybe not dollar for dollar, but definitely hour for hour.
I did put the modifier on there of over the last decade.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But I agree, because I was actually thinking about that for an episode, for an intro for you. Like, yeah, hands down, it's you. Like, even though we haven't been doing as many things together since you've gotten like real jobs and stuff.
Sure.
Definitely. Well, one of the things, I mean, this is not an interview, but at the same time, it would be great for folks to sort of have a sense of where you're coming from. And I talked to other magicians about their like magic origin story. But I mean, I was forcing you to do shows in the basement since before you can remember.
Right. I do not remember my magic origin story.
Right. Or mine. You don't remember. I mean, like,
no.
And I barely remember mine. Like I was 5 or 6. So
yeah, you distinctly remember your first like paid gig.
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to think back. I think my first paid gig with you was at the Howard County Fair.
Okay. Yeah.
And you would have been, that was like your first year doing it. That was kind of, new territory for both of us. I would have been 10.
Yeah, I think so.
Or 9.
Yeah. And I don't remember if it was that first year or the second year, but it was definitely a like I got to do this fun thing. It wasn't too far away, and so you wanted to come just kind of hang out.
And like Dad's driving anyhow.
Sure.
He's got to do something with me.
Yep.
So
and you were not on stage from what I recall. Like you were basically a roadie the first year.
Yeah. I'm sure I begged you.
right.
And that,
please, can I come help?
And it wouldn't have been paid.
Oh, of course, yeah.
At that point.
No. Well, because the first year that I went, I was basically just doing my birthday party show, but with a microphone. I wasn't at a point yet where I really had thought about scaling it up into a stage situation.
Did you have to provide your own tech?
Yeah.
And it was, the main exhibition hall stage, the sun,
Yeah, I mean, I was, the stage itself was shaded, but the audience was not.
Yeah.
And that was tough. I mean, it was because also it was sort of in a spot on the fairgrounds where you wouldn't sort of pass by it on a regular basis, right? And so we would rely on them to make announcements, letting people know.
Oh yeah, the Howard County Times.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so we would write up like a script and run it up to the Times booth, and that was the show times for the day.
I'm sure that was one of my jobs. What were we wearing that first? I remember,
the first couple of years
as we matured, our vision of what a magician wears had evolved.
Sure. I
remember wearing like some really uncomfortable dress shoes at the Howard County Fair.
Oh, I wonder when,
like stepping in cow shit in my like church shoes.
Right.
So
was that the year that must have been the like classics of magic year, like the vaudevillian turn of the last century.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even, I think that was at a time where that was before we really did theming at the Howard County Fair.
Okay. Right.
But I mean, that is like a faint memory.
Okay.
And I remember running into my 5th grade teacher there. And it being awkward.
All right.
But like,
because because that was a current teacher or just a year past?
Yeah, I had just graduated the 5th grade.
Okay.
Maybe that was over that first summer. Year, but that was,
That's funny.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think we learned, I know the first year, I only know this because I have a photo of it. I was wearing black dress pants, long dress pants, and a blue and yellow Hawaiian shirt with, I think, like a red T-shirt underneath of it or something.
Yeah, the Peter Wood special back in the day. Yep.
No, the unbuttoned button down over top of a T-shirt.
It was the 90s.
Yeah.
It was super cool.
But it was a Hawaiian. But I think we learned pretty early on that nobody cared if we, first of all, I mean, nobody cared what we wore to begin with, but definitely nobody cared if we were in shorts. And so like we kind of discovered early on that we need to dress in a way that is as comfortable as possible.
Right. You know? Nobody wants to, it's not an endurance show.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also realized that like what makes it a costume is us matching, right? Like if it's just me walking around, you can't tell that it's a purposeful costume, but like, oh, both guys were wearing the same thing. So that makes it okay.
Yeah. It's a, costume, uniform.
I guess yeah. Well, and I guess, less like the other thing that we sort of learned was that, like, if you're already up on stage doing a show there, you don't have to, people shouldn't have to say like, oh, there's the magician. Like if you're walking around at a party, if you're doing balloons in the corner, maybe you want to dress a certain way so that people know that you're entertainment.
You're not just a creep, I
don't know how
crashing a party to make latex toys for children.
I assume but then wouldn't a creep wear long dress pants and a Hawaiian shirt?
Look, I don't know what a creep would do.
Okay. Right. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, but I think we definitely learned that was very much we've talked about this elsewhere before. A throwback here. We had some chats with Matt. With 2 T's.
Yeah.
And those are some series of YouTube.
You didn't
videos.
have them with 2 T's.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh man, that's stupid.
I thought that. Oh, come on, that's not brilliant. Chat with Matt, 2 T's on both.
Oh.
One of the things we talked about there was the Howard County Fair, and how it very much was a sort of like a workshop for us to try out stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, going back even before then, like, you remember doing shows in the basement.
Yeah.
Right. And we sort of had a stage on one side of the basement with like a big map wall behind it.
So I don't
remember that?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
That was, I only remember the stage on the other side of the basement with the laundry room as like backstage.
Right.
And that was the beginning of a lot of laundry rooms that I would work out of as the backstage for our future, the next decade of children's birthday parties. I spent so much time in laundry rooms with a rabbit, just listening to you.
Well, that was the joke, is that like you had never seen the show, but you had heard it hundreds of times.
Right.
I
could tell if something's off by your inflection.
Right.
Which kid's being annoying. And
right.
I could come out and be like, all right, let me pick, like, I think it was you. I think it was this kid, this kid right here.
Right. Yeah. You had to figure out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we were doing birthday party shows, right? Yeah. And it was basically like, you could book me, or you could book me and the rabbit, and Matt came along.
Yeah.
And I tried to sell it as a 2-man show, but ultimately it was people who were like, all right, I want the magician and I want the rabbit. And that's a big part of what you were helping with, was making sure, I think that we were doing it in a humane way. Like a lot of times what happens in a solo magic show with livestock is that you have to set the animals before the show starts.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You didn't need me for the rabbit or the magic, but in order to not be a dick to a rabbit,
right,
it was
I mean, and I thought that was just, well, that's the nicest thing for the animal, but so I guess sort of what grew out of that were these 2-man routines, where it's like,
well, I'm there. Might as well do something else.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of suspicious if this guy comes out of the laundry room only to produce a box that eventually produces a rabbit.
Right.
So
we put together 2-person routines.
Now you didn't. So before me, there was Greg Shinner. Did you guys have 2-person routines?
Some. It still wasn't. I'm trying to think.
And Greg Schrinner was like your buddy in middle school.
Middle school. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you should get on this show. That'd be cool.
I gotta get Greg. That'd be fun. I'm sure he's got some stories.
Oh yeah. That was the,
well, and speaking
the
of
awkward days of, any person's life.
Right. Well, and also mom saying how like both Greg and then later you would make great interior designers because of how many bathrooms and laundry rooms and bedrooms you'd been shoved into, off the family room or whatever.
So did you and Greg have two person?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely, it was a little bit more than him just shuttling props around for me. But it wasn't quite to the level. I don't remember a lot of stuff where like, oh, I'm doing a solo show, so I can't do X, Y, and Z. Right. It was more things like, well, yeah, not the rabbit. Like the rabbit never, I never used the rabbit solo. That was always somebody coming along to help with the rabbit. But there were definitely things where like, okay, I can do this on my own, but it's a little bit, it's more work, or it's not quite as magical, or I have to have like a laundry room nearby to be able to go and grab something, But yeah, and the rabbit was fun while it lasted.
Sure, yeah.
And I had several rabbits that all lived longer than average lives, so that tells me that something must have been good.
Now that you've got Willoughby, which
for our friend who hasn't, if they haven't seen the show, it's known as a spring animal, right? So there's just a giant spring inside this fur tube. And it gives I can puppeteer it. And so it makes it look like it's a live living animal. Yeah. And then after the show, I can chuck it in a case and not think about it until the next show.
Yeah. And I guess you don't do, kids, I mean, they would pet it if you want.
They've asked.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, dude, it's not real.
Oh, I mean, I'll sometimes kids will still come up after the show and want to pet it. And like, I'll let them, like, that's fine. I'm not opposed to it. But telling them the whole time that it's not real.
And it doesn't poop.
Yep. And you don't feed it, and you don't have to. Yeah. There was one show in particular that really cemented it for me. The sort of the death knell of having a rabbit come along, and that was I had a double header show, and it was a sort of thing where I don't know what happened. I guess you went home.
You did a couple solos with the rabbit, but it was like,
I guess,
but it was awkward. I mean,
yeah.
There's a reason you don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I get I don't remember the specifics, but the point being, I ended up at a rabbit, with a rabbit at a wedding. Yeah, and I was contracted to do walk around magic at the wedding, and it was during warmer months, so I wasn't going to keep the rabbit in the car. And so I, had to walk into this swanky wedding gig with this pet carrier and then find some table where I could shove it under, where no caterer was going to chuck a chafing dish and all of a sudden there's a rabbit, in a box. And then like, why does the magician have a rabbit? Like no one has seen the rabbit. Like, nope, that was the show I just came from.
Yeah, it was a double hit. Yeah, you all didn't pay for the rabbit.
Right. Oh, strolling with a rabbit, that'd be funny.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so that was sort of the beginning of the end of realizing that, that wasn't the kind of show I wanted to do.
You didn't have a show where you like thought the rabbit was dead, did you? I thought there was there was like an incident that was like, and I mean and when we say the rabbit, I mean the rabbit's like Shamu. Like we had a bunch of rabbits.
We had, So yeah, the very first rabbit I had was Harriet.
Yeah.
Because I named it Harry, like Harry Houdini.
Right.
And then we discovered it was a female rabbit.
Right.
And so that switched to Harriet. And then the next, and that was just a giant, that was a black and white hare, like a big old, a large rabbit in a large outdoor hutch.
She was a market rabbit.
Yeah. Oh. And then Merlin, right?
I remember Merlin.
Was a little, and that's, I think, when I switched to dwarf albinos, exclusively.
Yeah, Merlin was like a red-eyed, albino.
Yeah, Netherland dwarf. And then after Merlin, I got another rabbit, and I did a contest on my e-newsletter because I'm, that was the cutting edge. Send in your vote for what the rabbit should be, named. And one of the suggestions was Casper.
Right.
Because he is, I mean, I had a photo of the rabbit, I think. And so Casper, because Casper is a white ghost and he appears and disappears. And so I thought that was as good a name as any. But then Casper became Shamu. I think we had 2 or maybe 3 Caspers, you know.
There was a gray rabbit, but we don't talk about that.
It was a short-lived, that rabbit had anxiety issues and had to go back to the pet store. I think after being in one show, maybe, but not even, it was.
But all of the Merlins and Caspers were always very good bunnies. That didn't, you know, had a very sedentary life.
Well, and it was, I mean, that's going to a breeder who like knows the personality of these animals. And so they would not only think about the sort of classic magician, you know, coloration that I was looking for, but more importantly, like, all right, this rabbit is real chill. So this would be a great rabbit.
I do remember going to one of the breeders and she like pulls out this adorable, like, juvenile rabbit. And it's like, I think this is a perfect one. And she lays him over on his back and he just lays there.
Right.
And she's like rubbing his belly and we're like, that is a chill ass rabbit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, we will take it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were,
no, I mean, that's what you want. You want someone who knows the personality of the animal and, you know, but I do not, I have no regrets, nor do I miss those days.
Sure. Yeah. That's just like doing balloon animals.
I was going to say, is that the segue?
That is the segue. Oh, God.
So Matt and I would do balloon animals as part of a lot of shows, not only at the Howard County Fair. People would come to see the show. And then after the show, if they wanted, they could get in line and get a balloon animal or balloon creation because they're more just animals. But then we would also do them at birthday parties.
Right.
I do remember at birthday parties.
What was the upcharge for that?
I mean, I would have to check. It was around. It was probably $2 a kid, something like that. I mean, like I don't remember specific, or you know, I don't remember how the. I mean, it was not. It was never a time where it like doubled the cost of the show. You know.
Oh yeah.
But I also think it was more of an upcharge. It wasn't like just tacking on an extra 10%. Like it was a substantial thing, but I do remember one of the things that was great about it is that when we were doing it at a birthday party, whoever, I forget, maybe we took turns at I know we did at the fair, but at a birthday party, whoever wasn't doing balloons had to clean up. But it kind of was brilliant because we both were happy about that. Like you either stand at the beginning of a line and you make balloon animals while the other guy moves around and does a bunch of work. Right. And by the time you're done with the balloon line, the car is packed up and we're ready to go.
Right.
Or the alternate where, you know, if you don't feel like dealing with a whole line of kids that day, then you'll gladly just pack up all the tricks and stick it in the car. Yeah. But it was very efficient.
I do. Well, and at a birthday party, I mean, at least you have a finite number of kids there. That was always the struggle with, you know, I know we eventually with, you know, doing like the fair and more public events, we would say like, oh, and you know, it's a balloon animal for everybody that's at the show. And you know, we would just cap the line. But I remember there being lots of drama. We didn't. We didn't call them Karens then.
No,
but I met Karen a bunch.
Sure.
At the fair. And various public venues. That were like, you know, I think the one I remember is like, are you going to deprive my child of this balloon creation?
Yeah.
I was just like, wow. Like
because she came up after the line had been capped.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I have so much power right now. Like, yes, I'm going to deprive you. No. We would do anything for the Howard County Fair. So, you know, we usually just did. Like, got to keep people happy.
I don't want someone to make a stink. I mean, and the good news was doing 3 shows a day, it was usually easy to say, oh, we're doing some more after the next show. We've got to get ready for it, but come on back.
They're for everybody that came to the show. And, you know,
but that last show of the day, you know.
Right.
Well, and we eventually, so I believe, you know, early on, we would just tell the last person in line to tell everyone who tried to get in line behind them that they were the last person.
Yeah.
And that worked about as well as you would imagine, you know.
Right.
Not much at all.
Yeah.
And so then we started a sign, and that eventually turned into like a bright orange caution vest with a sign on the back of it. But I still remember people coming up and totally not getting what we were trying to do.
Well, I think the sign said like, I'm the last person in line.
Right.
And they were like, oh, so I just need that vest because now
Right.
I'm the last person. And I was like, no.
Yep.
The last, like you are the last person to enter.
Right. Right.
You know,
And I don't know. There's no way to know if they were being ignorant or purposefully selfish. Like,
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
if it's sort of like, oh, I guess, all right, if I want to be the last person, I guess I better put this vest on, you know, or if it's like, okay, listen, he's not going to know. If we just move this vest, we'll get you a balloon and
Right.
we get to go home. But, you know.
But eventually we said, you know,
Well, a couple of things were happening. Yep. One, there were other people at the fair who were doing balloon creations.
yeah, that were better.
Much better.
Way better. We were
yeah.
magicians doing balloons.
Yep. And we learned probably we could do 24 basic things,
Right.
but I always said we were kind of the McDonald's of balloons, where we're good at cranking out a bunch at a pretty good clip.
Which was a good service to the, you know, the fairgoers
Yep.
and, you know, that your kid gets us something and
Sure.
it's quick and we move the line. But,
Yeah.
you know, we weren't artists by any means.
No, I mean, and I think it was sort of, we got to a point where like, listen, there are other people who are doing this much better than we are. We're just going to focus on the magic. And thankfully the fair was cool with that because it was always just an add-on, you know?
Right.
So I definitely don't miss doing the balloon creations, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That was, well,
that was, I think, the magic origin story, but we should chat again at another episode, I'm thinking.
Sounds good.
So if folks want to hear more with Brother Matt, you can tune on in and to a future Matt Wood episode. But for right now, that is going to do it for the podcast of The Impossible. For my public shows and social media and special projects and more, you can head on over to oftheimpossible.com. I'm Peter Wood. Thanks.